two high-performance boats, they collided, hit one another there, and there was one casualty out of that.
Certainly calls were down. Those calls that we did have tended to be legitimate kinds of accidents. I was on that call that night. We got a call about 10 after 8 that there had been a boating accident and that there were people in the water.
Rather slow through the summer, a few calls here and there until the September long weekend, when it was the busiest record on any weekend for us, with 5 call-outs that particular weekend, including a boat crash where unfortunately there was a fatality.
Everybody comes to the Shuswap to spend the August long weekend. We had crew on standby ready to go, and I think we might have had 1 rescue mission that whole weekend, and historically we usually have 2 or 3. And then the September long weekend hit. For RCM Star Station 106, historically a slow weekend. Nothing really usually happens. It's the last kick at the can, but people are cleaning cabins up and they're tired and they're moving back to, and for whatever reason that weekend we ended up with 6 calls over 5 days.
It was unfortunate that in 2010 there was an accident on the Shuswap arm of Shuswap Lake between a houseboat and a smaller pleasure craft. Basically, the pleasure craft embedded itself into the houseboat. It was a fatal accident. So they still had boats. They could use police boats. They could use the houseboat service boats, but they were looking for a better way. And through the remainder of 2010 into 2011, a group of people from provincial agencies, the ambulance service, myself as emergency coordinator and Emergency Management BC, we sat down, meeting almost monthly, if not every 2 weeks, working towards what is the solution to this issue. So from those discussions and all those meetings, it was decided to approach the Canadian Coast Guard Auxiliary. We had set up training, the first training course for those volunteers to learn about rescue boats. It took place in September 2011. There was 2 more additional courses set up. These are week-long courses set up. They were finished by March of 2012, and by May of 2012, the rescue boat being given to the Shuswap from the coast arrived here in Sicamous but it's one of my good news stories. It's one of the projects I'm very proud of that came about. There was a need for it, no doubt about it. The vessel that's provided now to the ambulance paramedics, it's clean, it's fast, it can take them there and get them back safely, whereas before they were in open inflatables, water splashing, or in vessels or in boats that came from the houseboat company, which were maintenance boats basically. So the ambulance service got a clean, healthy environment to go out and treat people, which is a bonus to those that are hurt. They were able to do it quickly and safely because the training that the volunteers got to operate this rescue boat is top-notch. Instantly, I was shocked at the number of calls. I believe it was just under 50 calls in the first season. And remembering that the boating season here is from basically the May long weekend to the first part of September. That's the boating season, so it's not year long. This is like 50 calls in a matter of a few months. That no longer were people waiting out there for some passing boat to pick them up and to bring them in. There was help arriving very quickly with this new rescue boat. As I mentioned earlier, this is one of the projects I was involved with that I'm very proud of. It's noteworthy in my career. I'm very impressed with how professional the volunteers are that run this service. I'm very impressed with how quickly they were able to train, practice, and become a fully operational service.
I've been grinding so long, been trying this shit for years. And I got nothing to show, just climbing this rope right here. And if there's a man upstairs, he kept bringing me rain. But I've been sending up prayers and something's changed. I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now. Good to be alive right about now. Good to be alive right about now. Hallelujah, let that bassline move, just say yeah. It's good to be alive right about now. I was dead in the water, nobody wanted me. I was old news, I went cold as cold could be. But I kept throwing on cold, trying to make that fire burn. Sometimes you gotta get scars to get what you
We got a call this morning about 6:45, Sunday morning. Just had a horrific rainstorm last night, so it wasn't surprising we got a call out. Usually stuff happens when it's a nasty storm. BC Ambulance paged us out. We got a crew together. When we checked in, there was a 61-year-old male that had slipped and fallen on a deck and had twisted or hurt an ankle, and he couldn't walk.
It's good to be alive right about now.
Headed up to Sinamoosa Narrows. En route, we were able to make contact by cell phone with the houseboat, and we got the exact location of the houseboat, and we were able to come around Sinamoosa Narrows and dock right on the boat right away. We knew which boat we were heading for. And the patient had a very large abnormality on his left ankle. So the paramedics stabilized him, did all their other checks, determined that he was safe to move. Our crew got together, got scoop stretcher and spine board, and prepared to package a patient. We packaged the patient on the back deck of the houseboat. Good morning, it's Fred with Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue, Station 106 in Shuswap. How you doing? Reporting back, you gave me a task number earlier. It was 202974. 61-year-old male slipped on the cabin deck, and when we arrived it was very misshaped. It did not look like an ankle. Accordingly, BC Ambulance came on board, provided medical aid. We packaged the patient, brought him on board Tolonan, and brought him back here to Sicamous. And we've just finished transferring him onto the ambulance, and he's being taken to Samanon Hospital. That was when I ruled the world. Mission accomplished.
Today we had a call out for an injury up through Sinamoosa Narrows up near Nielsen Beach, apparently. Tubing accident and run-in with the Sea-Doo, apparently.
People couldn't believe what I'd become.
Our pagers went off about 14:45, so 2:45 on the Saturday afternoon. We were down at the boat and on the water by 3:04.
I hear Jerusalem bells ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field.
I mean, there were certainly some boats, but not as busy as it has been, but we were able to navigate through most of them. Clear, a little bit of wind from the northwest, but clear skies.
But that was when I ruled the world.
I think any day we're on the lake, we're always cautious of safety issues and factors of other boats in the area, people tubing, jet skis, and so we're always on the lookout for objects on the water. Well, today when we were docking against the houseboat, there was considerable wind and some chop, and so we had to be cautious and cognizant of that. And we also had some water toys tied near the back of the houseboat, and so we had to make sure that we were clear of their lines.
And a couple of concerned people standing out the rear to give us some assistance to try and dock. But overall, they seem to be all well within their realm of of understanding what we were asking, and very cooperative.
Be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my bestest, and nothing's gonna stop.
As it turns out, we found out that he was lazing around in a floaty, a tube, and he was not tubing or being towed or anything. He was just floating, and the operator of the Sea-Doo was not paying attention where they're going, and they ran over him. One of those unfortunate things, the person in the Sea-Doo did not mean to hit him, they just weren't paying attention.
Well, open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and damn, you're free. I look into your heart and you'll find love, love, love.
I'm sure it's been a busy week. The September long weekend, historically very quiet, has been crazy this week. There was actually between Friday morning and Tuesday afternoon 6 mission calls, which is unheard of for the September long weekend, but the weather was gorgeous and people were finally getting out of boating, so unfortunately some stuff happened.
Yes, one fellow had been diving off a sharp rock face in Mara Lake and didn't make the water. He hit the rocks instead, and so I think he had a spinal and a neck injury. As I recall, we had a woman with a drug overdose that weekend. We had another fellow who was doing some water sports, and I don't know if he banged into a boat or what happened exactly. We think he broke his femur, and he was in excruciating pain. And then the weekend was capped off by a serious boating accident, and 2 of the larger, what we call cigarette boats, the high-speed boats, ran into one another on the lake, and 2 people were thrown from one of the boats, ended up in the water. One with serious injuries, and the other, unfortunately, we were not able to recover.
I hear the fastest one on the lake is just a tad over 200 miles an hour. Yeah, so these ones here, they're probably capable of at least 120, 130, somewhere in there. Well, actually, there was 2 calls came out, and the first crew that was dispatched, I was on the second crew. They realized once they got down to their boat and were getting organized and whatnot that it was probably going to end up being a search. We got out of the channel probably, maybe a good 30 minutes behind them.
That particular boat crash occurred on the Sunday of the long weekend. It was evening just as the sun was setting, so minimal light and into darkness. 2 fast boats were going up the salmon arm of the lake. For some reason, one came over, collided with the other one. It rolled over, ejecting the people in the one of the boats. When we arrived on scene, started the search and checking with the person that was still there with the boat. In talking to him, one of our first questions was, did the victim who was ejected, did he have a life jacket on? The answer was no. We started a particular pattern of driving the boat using our radar system and tracking our pattern, and made a very deliberate, pre-planned course that we followed, looking for the individual that had disappeared. And in following that track, we were able to, as close as possible, ensure that we cover all aspects of the water. We're not just going random here and there, but we have a definite plan when we were doing the search.
Well, we seen a police boat, and we seen the wrecked boat. And at that time we got there, the towing was taking the patients into the canoe dock there to go on the ambulance. So we received instructions to talk to the RCMP, which were still at the wrecked boat, and get guidance from them. And we started a parallel search right away, seeing if we could pick this fella up, but we were unsuccessful. But it was dark, very dark that night. And well, on this boat here, we have the 2 big searchlights at the back. We were using that. And we have the FLIR here, which we had that on the heat sinking. So, yeah, we covered a lot of area, and I think we covered it well. So, you know, we found quite a bit of debris, seats and cushions and different paraphernalia from the boat.
But we went out about 10 after 8, and We got back to the station, to the best of my recollection, was about 20 after 1 the next morning.
We felt that we had done everything we could, even though we were unsuccessful. Certainly disappointed, but we did the best that we could.
Well, all my life I've never really had jobs where I associated with a group of people at all. So this is something new for me. I've always been on my own, you know, like trucking, you're by yourself all the time and whatnot. So I enjoy the group of people I'm working with and whatnot.
I've been boating actually just about all of my life, and we have, during the years that we lived in Alberta and I worked in Alberta, we've probably come out to Merrill Lake for, I'm guessing, about 35 years. And I happened to run into Rob Sutherland, who was the station leader at the time, and had a chat and found out what this group did, and it was of interest to me.
The first thing I would say about them, number one, well-trained, they're calm, they do what they need to do very well. In simple language, they're professionals.
That's a pretty tough question. This is my small brother, John.
Just happy to be on the boat. The boys let me come.
Well, we could have a raise. I wouldn't mind a raise.
I don't know how I can help you with Fred, though.